The U.S. and Israel have rejected an Arab plan for the post war reconstruction of the Gaza Strip that would allow for the 2.1 million Palestinians living there to stay in place. The proposal, endorsed by Arab leaders at a summit in Cairo, is their alternative to Donald Trump's idea for the U.S. to take over Gaza and permanently resettle its population. The Palestinian Authority and Hamas welcomed the Arab plan, which calls for Gaza to be governed temporarily by a committee of independent experts and for international peacekeepers to be deployed there. This morning, former Israeli member of parliament, Dr. Einat Wilf, joined us to explain why Israel has rejected the deal.
It's quite simply not a plan. It basically says everything stays in place, nothing changes, and we want tens of billions to flow again to the Gaza Strip, as if the previous round of tens of billions of dollars was not used in order to turn Gaza into an integrated weaponized landscape for the purpose of carrying out the October 7th massacre. If you read it, it's a ridiculous non-plan because it basically says we're not responsible. There's no responsibility. As usual, it's like we're only victims and the world owes us tens of billions of dollars and nothing needs to change. The rejection is quite simply for the fact that this is a non-plan that assumes zero responsibility for what they've done. To go back a bit, Hamas is not some independent organization that hijacked a people that had nothing to do with it. Hamas is merely the executive arm of the Palestinian ideology of no Jewish state from the river to the sea. Any leadership whatsoever, independent experts, technocratic people of Gaza, will be a management of a people who continue to believe that it is their highest duty to so-called liberate Palestine from the river to the sea. I am on record for years now, because I listen to Gazans and to Palestinians and to what they say, of saying, do not give a dollar to any Gazan reconstruction unless you know that the ideology of the people of Gaza is finally that Gaza is their home rather than a launch pad from which to, in their words, liberate Palestine from the river to the sea. And I knew for years that all the money that was flowing into Gaza was being used to build tunnels. I have tweets, essays, lectures that say that, because when a people's ideology is that Gaza is not their home, but that they are fifth-generation refugees who will one day take back, in their mind, Palestine from the river to the sea, you are guaranteed that any dollar, any euro, any yen that goes into that strip will be used to weaponize it. So if you don't want to be stuck in a loop of endless war and reconstruction, and that's what the Arab non-plan does. The Arab non-plan is designed to keep us in this loop of war and reconstruction. This non-plan basically does what the Arabs have done very well for the last century. Every time they attempt to destroy the Jewish state and fail, they demand a redo. They demand to go back to the same position they were before they tried to destroy the Jewish state in order to try again. So if we are ever to break out of this cycle of war and reconstruction, where the reconstruction is essentially re-weaponization, then we need to ensure that the ideology that gave birth to the weaponization, that ideology goes away. And the Arab non-plan doesn't address the ideology. On the contrary, I read it, and I think I'm going to publish soon an Arab plan translation into Palestinianist language. When they say the inalienable rights of Palestinians, they mean return no Jewish state. When they talk about the historic injustice, they mean the existence of a Jewish state. When they laud UNRWA's mandate, they mean return, and return is what the Arabs did on October 7th. So what they're saying throughout this document is, we want a redo. And the message should be no, we are finally going to break this stupid, deadly, violent cycle of a century where the Arabs are never allowed to lose and the Jews are never allowed to win, and the Arabs can always get a redo. And the cycle needs to be broken, and there has to be a clear sense that the invasion and massacre of October 7th has consequences, and the Arab non-plan has zero consequences for their attack.
Now, one of the major criticisms of Mr. Trump's plan is that Palestinians would be removed from Gaza with no clear stance if they would be allowed to return. We asked Dr. Wilf if Mr. Trump's plan to relocate Palestinians solves her objections about ideology.
Beyond any other criticism, this is my main criticism, is that if the people of Gaza leave, and many do want to leave, but they leave carrying with them the ideology that they've been groomed with since birth, that there should be no Jewish state and it is their highest duty to rid the world of the Jewish state, then as we know, when the PLO was in Tunisia, they will continue to promote that ideology, which is why, much more like Nazi Germany or Imperial Japan, the message has to be that the ideology has to die so that the people can actually live. But it's very clear that any kind of reconstruction has to be based on a complete transformation of the ideology on all the structures that sustain it. So, for example, one of the interesting responses to the Trump proposal was, oh no, you cannot relocate Palestinians from Gaza because Gaza is their home. And I'm thinking, great. Can we have that on record? Because this is the first time in the last 75 years that the Arabs have said that Gaza is their home. Because for the last 75 years, they claimed that they're not home, they're fifth generation refugees, and that they believe in a non existent right to settle in Israel and to conduct a massacre like October 7th in the name of that return. So, can we at least begin to lock in that Gaza is their home? That would already be a massive, important contribution to begin to chip away at the ideology that I've come to call Palestinianism, this singular obsession with the non-existence of a Jewish state. So the condition, the minimum condition for any dollar to go into Gaza, for any bag of cement, is that the ideology dies. No one in Gaza is a refugee. There's no return. And it's a win-win condition. Either they accept it, and thereby we have made a massive step towards peace and a real two-state solution where one of the two states is the Jewish state, or they say no, and thereby they have no means, no dollars for the re-weaponization of Gaza.